Giulia de Medici was born into one of the most famous families in Italy. She was the daughter of the very first Duke of Florence, but her parents were not married to each other. Many people guessed that the Duke's mother was from North Africa, which meant Giulia shared that same heritage. Even though her birth was a bit of a secret, it looked like she was going to grow up living like a princess. But then, in the year 1537, her whole world turned upside down. Giulia Romola Alessandra de Medici was born around the year 1535 in the city of Florence. Her father was Alessandro de Medici, the Duke of Florence. He was a man of mixed background and was likely the first black ruler in Europe during the Renaissance. As you will see, from the second she was born, Giulia's life was full of secrets and power struggles. To understand her, we have to look at her family. Giulia came from the powerful Medici family. They started out in the countryside of Tuscany. They got very rich by trading and eventually started the Medici Bank, which was the biggest bank in Europe in the 1400s. All that money helped them become the bosses of Florence, especially under a man named Cosimo and his grandson, Lorenzo. For a long time, they were just regular citizens, but that changed in 1532. Giulia's father, Alessandro, was born in Florence in 1910. On paper, his dad was a duke, which connected him to the main Medici family. But many history experts think his real dad was actually Giulio de Medici, who later became Pope Clement VII. His mother was Simonetta, a woman who likely worked as a servant in their house. Because of this, some people were mean to him and called him names. Alessandro was also known as Il Moro, or the Moor, because he had dark skin. This made people think his mother was African. A writer from France even wrote in a book in 1560 that his mom was a slave, but we don't know for sure if that is true. The truth about his birth might always be a mystery. But one thing was certain: the future pope treated him just like a son. He gave him lots of money and protected him, which only made people gossip more. Alessandro went to the best schools and learned how to be a leader and a soldier. So, even though his parents weren't married, he was raised to be powerful. As the Pope got more powerful, so did Alessandro. In 1527, there was a war, and the Medici family was kicked out of Florence. Alessandro had to run away and hide for a few years. But in 1529, the Pope made a deal with the emperor to get the city back. After a long fight, Florence gave up, and by 1531, the Medici family was back in charge. Alessandro became the head of the state, and in 1532, he officially became the Duke. This was the end of the Old Republic and the start of the Medici family ruling like kings. As a duke, people had different opinions about him. His friends said he protected the poor and was fair, but his enemies said he was a bad ruler who wasted money and had too many girlfriends. One of his girlfriends was a noblewoman named Taddea. She and the duke had 2 children, a son named Giulio and our main character, Giulia. Even though they weren't official children, the duke loved them and took good care of them. Because they were Medicis, they lived a life of luxury inside the palace. We don't have papers saying he named them his heirs, but many think he had big plans for them. In 1536, the emperor's daughter, Margaret, married Duke Alessandro. This was a political marriage to make the duke stronger. But even after getting married, Alessandro still loved his girlfriend, Taddea. He thought marriage was just a job, not about love. But just when he felt safe, something terrible happened. On the night of January 6, 1537, Alessandro was tricked into a private meeting. There, he was murdered by his own cousin and best friend, Lorenzino. Alessandro was only 26 years old, and he died without leaving an official child to take his place. Suddenly, everything changed. A new baby sister named Porzia was born a few months after he died, adding one last mystery to his short life. With Alessandro gone, the power shifted fast. His young children were caught in the middle. Giulia's brother was only 4 years old, so they didn't let him become the duke. Instead, a teenager named Cosimo from a different part of the family became the new Duke of Florence. Cosimo promised to take care of the orphan children. He sent young Giulia to a beautiful house in the hills called Villa di Castello. She lived there with Cosimo's grandmother, a strict but religious lady named Maria. Giulia wasn't alone, though. She lived with a girl named Bia, who was Cosimo's own daughter. The two girls grew up like sisters, playing together and filling the house with joy. Sadly, when Giulia was about 7, a bad fever hit the house. Giulia survived, but her little friend Bia did not make it. This was a very sad time for Giulia and her family. As Giulia grew older, she became a big part of royal life. Even though her dad was the old duke, people respected her. She was proud of her family history. She got a great education and learned art, languages, and manners, just like a proper noble lady. She was treated like family, and they cared about how she looked. There is a story that when Giulia was about 12, Cosimo's wife got very angry because Giulia's coat wasn't made correctly. It wasn't fancy enough. Eventually, Giulia grew into a lovely young woman. Many people at court said she looked just like her father, Alessandro, with his strong features and curly hair. Even though her skin was darker than other ladies at court, many people thought she was beautiful. Now it was time for Cosimo to find her a husband. In 1550, when Giulia was about 15, she got married for the first time. Her husband was a high-ranking nobleman, the Duke of Popoli. Her family gave her a huge amount of money for the marriage. This meant Giulia was now a very important duchess, not just a girl living in the palace. However, 5 years later, in 1555, sadness returned. Her husband died, and Giulia became a widow in her early 20s. While she was grieving, a famous artist painted a picture of her. In the painting, she looks serious and proud. There is a strange chair in the picture, and art experts have many guesses about what it means. But most people agree that the painting was Giulia's way of showing she was proud of her heritage, despite what mean people said about her grandmother. During this sad time, Giulia spent a lot of time at a convent, a religious house, where her sister worked. She gave money to the church and helped people. In 1559, she married again, this time to a cousin of Cosimo named Bernardetto. A year later, she had a son and named him Alessandro after her father. At first, Giulia and her husband had a busy social life, but there was drama in Florence. The Grand Duke Cosimo, who was now older, got a very young girlfriend. Giulia didn't like this and demanded to be treated with respect, which caused a fight between her and Cosimo. Their friendship was never quite the same after that. Eventually, Giulia and her husband moved to the city of Naples in 1567. They bought land and became the princes of Ottaviano. In Naples, Giulia was very powerful. She managed money and made sure her family would be safe for a long time. Her family line continued all the way to modern times. Even though Giulia was important, history slowly forgot her. For hundreds of years, she was actually erased from a painting. There is a picture of the old grandmother, Maria. For a long time, people only saw Maria. But in 1937, they cleaned the painting and found a child hiding next to her. Most experts agree this child is Giulia. In the picture, she looks worried and holds on to Maria's hand. Her face looks just like her father's. Many believe this is one of the first European paintings of a girl with mixed African and European ancestry. We know that her husband died before her around the year 1576. Julia de Medici died in 1588 when she was about 52 years old. There aren't many records of her final days, but her life was full of adventure in one of Europe's most powerful families. Her son carried on her legacy, and her family even tried to claim the title of Grand Duke many years later. Julia's story reminds us that even people who are hidden in the shadows of history can leave a mark that lasts for centuries.